The search for Mount Zion, the city of the great King. Commandment. Revelation 18 verses 1 through 4. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Commandment. Babylon the great is fallen, And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Commandment. Come out of her, my people. A lot of us read those words, but we still refuse to believe that it is physical. Even though many of the prophets have shown us and proven to us that it is physical, we still want to believe that it is spiritual, that we really do not have to physically come out at all. We say, leave. Where do we go? Many of us may say that out of fear, but that's our reaction. Leave? Where do we go? And then we might ask, the land of Israel? Well, no, not the land of Israel that's in the Middle East today. No, that nation was founded by the Ashkenazi Jewish people. Ashkenaz is the son of Gomer. You'll find that in Genesis 10 verse 3. Ashkenaz is the son of Gomer. They are not the children of Jacob, nor do they bear record of, nor carry the father's name. But there is a commandment in Deuteronomy 12 verse 5 that tells us where we are to go. Deuteronomy 12 verse 5. But unto the place which the Most High, your mighty one, shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall ye seek, and thither thou shalt come. That's where we're supposed to go. The tribe that our father chose. The physical location where he put his name and his reputation there, where his house will be. That's where we should seek, and that's where we should come. We are to go to Zion, the daughter of Jerusalem. Psalm 122, verse 3 and 4. Jerusalem is builded as a city that is compact together. Whither the tribes go up, the tribes of the Most High, unto the testimony of Israel, to give thanks unto the name of the Father. Jerusalem is where the tribes are to go to give thanks unto the name of the Father. And so we ask the question again, should we leave Babylon? Should we physically leave Babylon? Should we physically seek Zion? These are the questions that we have to answer today. Where do we look for the answers? in the Holy Scriptures, in the Bible. Let's use the law of Moses. Deuteronomy 19, verse 15. One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity or for any sin, in any sin that he sinneth. At the mouth of two witnesses or at the mouth of three witnesses shall the matter be established. 2 Corinthians 13, verse 1. In the mouth of two or three witnesses shall every word be established. 1 Corinthians 14, verse 29. Let the prophets speak, two or three, and let the other judge. The law of Moses tells us, in the mouth of two or three witnesses shall every word be established. To find out what the scriptures is telling us, we have to let the prophets speak, two or three, and let the other judge. The men that you are about to hear from are not actors. They are not affiliated with a religious organization, sect, or denomination. They were not educated in a school of theology. They do not have any membership numbers to worry about. They do not collect offerings or tithes or take any gifts. They do not have any bills or any debt. They were not given money, any money, for the things they are about to say. We shall call three primary witnesses, three prophets of the Most High, the King of heaven and earth, and hear their testimony. David also shall speak. Jeremiah is a prophet of the Most High. He saw in dreams and visions the things that shall befall Babylon in the latter days. Isaiah is a prophet of the Most High. He is a faithful witness of the word of the Father concerning the fall of Babylon and the rise of Zion. John is also a prophet of the Most High Mighty One. He witnessed in a vision the great destruction of Babylon, the judgment of the nations of the earth, and the establishment of the kingdom of heaven. Why go to Zion? Babylon is fallen. Babylon will be physically destroyed. We are going to ask our witnesses, our prophets, the word of the Father concerning Babylon and the destruction of Babylon. The first witness that we're going to call is Jeremiah. Jeremiah 50, verse 2. Declare ye among the nations, and publish, and set up a standard, publish, and conceal not. Verse 3. For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate. There cometh up a nation against her, Babylon, which shall make her land desolate. What does desolate mean? The definition of the word desolate. 1. Of a place, it means deserted of people and in a state of bleak and dismal emptiness. 2. Make a place bleakly and depressingly empty or bare. Synonyms include ravage, ruin, lay waste to. And 3, desolate means feeling or showing misery, unhappiness, or loneliness. Synonyms include miserable, depressed, devastated. We see that the word desolate means deserted of people, to ravage, to ruin, to lay waste to, or to feel depressed or devastated. We can go to the Bible for a precept, a Bible definition of the word desolate. Isaiah 1 verses 7 through 9. Here, the Father is talking about the daughter of Jerusalem, which is an actual nation in the world today. And the Father is describing the condition in which this nation, the children of Israel, is in today's times. Again, Isaiah 1 verse 7. Your country is desolate. Your cities are burned with fire. Your land, strangers devour it in your presence, and it is desolate, as overthrown by strangers. This is the definition that we are given in this passage for desolate. Verse 7 again. Your country is desolate. Your cities are burned with fire. To be desolate means to be burned with fire. In the Bible, to be burned with fire also means to be laid waste, to be destroyed. Desolate. Your cities are burned with fire. Your land, strangers devour it in your presence. That's part of the definition of desolate as well. Strangers devour it in your presence, and it is desolate, as overthrown by strangers. When your country is overthrown by strangers, usually it's as a result of armies coming in, laying waste to the land. Your country then becomes desolate because it is devastated and you are now under military occupation. Verse 8. And the daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in a vineyard, as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. As a besieged city. That's also part of the definition for desolate. To be besieged, to be occupied by armies. Where we read the daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in a vineyard, or as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers, this is telling us that this nation is fully occupied by foreign armies. When a cottage is in a vineyard, well, the vineyard can cover the entire cottage with branches and with vegetation, with leaves, with trees. It's covered completely. That describes the daughter of Zion today, and that describes what's going to happen to Babylon. Very, very shortly, it will be a city besieged. Verse 9, except the king of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant, we should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah. To be desolate is also being compared here to being like Sodom and Gomorrah. So when we go back, and we read Jeremiah 50 verse 3 again. For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate. We understand that Babylon will be destroyed. It will be laid waste to. It will fall to foreigners. Foreigners will overthrow it, and it will be as a city that is besieged. Let's go to our second witness, Isaiah 13, verse 19. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when the mighty one overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. Babylon here is being compared to Sodom and Gomorrah. What happened to Sodom and Gomorrah? She was burned. She was laid waste. She was destroyed. Let's go to our third witness, John, in Revelation 18, verse 21 tells us, and a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. Thus with violence Babylon shall be thrown down. With violence. It is a physical, violent destruction. Babylon, according to our witnesses, will be physically destroyed. She will be made desolate. And in this passage, we see the desolation of Babylon. Jeremiah 50 verses 9 and 10. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith the Most High. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country. From thence she shall be taken. All that spoil her shall be satisfied. We see that Babylon is going to be physically destroyed. Now, why go to Zion? The people living in Babylon will be in physical danger. Babylon is about to be physically destroyed. If you are living in Babylon, you're going to be in physical danger. Isaiah 13 verse 15. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Everyone found shall fall by the sword. Jeremiah 50 verse 37. A sword is upon their horses and upon their chariots and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her. And they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. Babylon will fall by the sword. And all the mingled people, that means all the different people from different nations that are living in Babylon, many of them will fall by the sword too. Revelation 18 verse 8. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Most High Mighty One who judgeth her. Her plagues will come in one day, death, mourning, famine. When we look at all of these things that's going to happen to Babylon, when we look at the prophecies on Babylon, we can ask ourselves, according to our witnesses, are they physical or are they spiritual? When it says a country from the north shall come, is that physical or spiritual? They will be overthrown by strangers, physical or spiritual. They will be as Sodom and as Gomorrah. We remember Sodom and Gomorrah was burnt, it was destroyed. Will that be physical when it happens to Babylon or spiritual? They will be thrown down with violence. Everyone found will fall by the sword. They shall be robbed of their treasures. Are these things physical or spiritual? Their plagues shall be death, mourning, and famine. They will be utterly burned with fire. Is these things physically going to happen to Babylon? Or is it spiritual? When we look at these and we come down to asking ourselves, should we flee Babylon? If all these things are physical, why, when it comes to fleeing Babylon, should all of these things add to us fleeing Babylon mentally? That's what we are told, many of us. We are told that Babylon is a system, that Babylon is spiritual, that Babylon is everywhere. It doesn't matter what country you go to. It doesn't matter what physical location on the earth you go to. Babylon is a system. That system is there. You cannot escape. That's what we are told. But if all of these things are physical, why are we supposed to flee spiritually? They're telling us it's a mental thing. Come out of Babylon mentally. Basically, they're saying, leave Babylon mentally, but your body can stay where it is, inside Babylon, within one of the nations of the Babylonian Empire. They're telling us to flee your mind, but your body doesn't have to follow. It doesn't make any sense. When you look at this list, the things that we just said, you have to ask yourself, when it says a country from the north shall come, is that spiritually? A country from the north will spiritually come? They will be overthrown by strangers spiritually? They will be as Sodom and Gomorrah spiritually? Babylon will be thrown down with violence. Is that spiritual violence? Everyone found will fall by the sword, by the spiritual sword. They shall be robbed of their gold and silver spiritually. The plagues of death, mourning, famine, being burnt with fire, are these things spiritual? It does not make any sense. We have to leave spiritually. It does not make any sense. All of the prophecies guarantee blood and destruction, death, doom, and famine. Our witnesses, our prophets have compared it to Sodom and Gomorrah. The danger is physical. Your leaving must be physical as well, in response to a physical threat. Why go to Zion? You have to physically flee. We need to use 5150 vision. You need 5150 vision. That's Jeremiah 51 verse 50. Ye that have escaped the sword, go away. Stand not still. Remember the Most High afar off. Let Jerusalem come into your mind. Again, Jeremiah 51 verse 50. Ye that have escaped the sword, go away. Stand not still. Do not remain in Babylon. Go away. Remember the Most High afar off. Let Jerusalem come into your mind. You should be seeing one thing, That's Jerusalem. You should be seeing only one thing. That's Zion. That's leaving Babylon and finding where Zion is, to go there to wait for the kingdom and to wait for the Most High to come. Zechariah 2 verse 7. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. Deliver yourself. If you are in the daughter of Babylon, if you are in Babylon, deliver yourself. Go away, stand not still. Let Jerusalem come into your mind. Jeremiah 50 verse 8. Remove out of the midst of Babylon and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans and be as the he-goats before the flocks. Remove out of the midst of Babylon. Go forth out of the land. Are you going to leave the land spiritually? No. It has to be physical. You have to physically remove, physically leave the land. Go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans. Why go to Zion? Everyone else will be fleeing too. That's our fourth reason. Everyone else will be fleeing too. Isaiah 13 verse 14. They shall every man turn to his own people and flee everyone into his own land. When the bombs start falling, when the grocery stores are empty, and there is a famine in the land, when diseases begin to ravage the populations, they shall every man turn to his own people and flee every one into his own land. Jeremiah 50 verse 16. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn every one to his people, and they shall flee every one to his own land. The Gentiles will be looking to save their own lives. They want to save their lives. And you want to leave spiritually, but remain in the land while everyone else is fleeing? It doesn't really add up. Why go to Zion? 5. You will be in obedience to the will of the Father. Jeremiah 31 verse 6. For there shall be a day that the watchmen upon the Mount Ephraim shall cry, Arise ye, and let us go up to Zion, unto the Most High, our mighty one. Our Father's watchmen will be sounding the alarm. That's beginning to happen today. Many of us are sounding the alarm. Arise ye, and let us go up to Zion, unto the Most High, our mighty one. Revelation 18 verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. The voice came from heaven. The voice came from heaven. Come out of her, my people, that ye receive not of her plagues. We read what her plagues are. Doom, death, famine, the sword. You want to escape those plagues, you have to physically come out of her, my people. Why go to Zion? Even Gentiles will be looking to flee and obey the will of the Father. While many of us prefer to be disobedient as it regards to flee in Babylon. We are reading here that the Gentiles will be looking to obey. We want to be disobedient. There will be Gentiles among us who want to obey. Zechariah 8 verse 23. Thus saith the King of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, we will go with you. For we have heard that the mighty one is with you. We will go with you, for we have heard that the mighty one is with you. They will not spiritually go with us. They will physically go with us, those who will believe in, those who will be obedient to the will of the Father. Again, thus saith the mighty one, the King of hosts. In those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, we will go with you, for we have heard that the mighty one is with you. This means that you will have people from many different nations. You might have 10 from 10 different nations. They will grab on very tightly to that one Jew whose eyes are open, that's in their area, and they will beg that Jew, the true child of Jacob. They will say, do not leave us behind, that we perish not. We don't want to go to our own country, neither. We want to go with you, because we have heard that the mighty one is with you. We have heard that salvation is of the Jews, the true Jews, the children of Jacob. Later on, we will talk about, in another video, we will talk about what it means when they say, for the mighty one is with you. We will go with you, for we have heard that the mighty one is with you. That's for another time. Why go to Zion? Number 7, you will be in a much safer place. You will be in a much safer place. When they say that Babylon is everywhere, that you cannot escape, that's not being fully informed. Jeremiah 51 verse 45. My people, go ye out of the midst of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Father. My people, go ye out of the midst of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Father. The Father's wrath and his indignation shall fall upon Babylon, upon the land and the inhabitants of the land. You don't want to be there. You don't want his wrath and his indignation to fall on you. It's better that you leave. The further that you can get away from his anger, the better. But he has a place that he is already preparing for us. A place that he is already preparing to receive us. Jeremiah 51 verse 10. The Father hath brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of the Most High, our mighty one. Let us declare in Zion the work of the Most High, our mighty one. The Father is preparing Zion to receive us. He is not telling us to flee and go wherever you feel like going. There is a place. That place is called Zion, and that place is being prepared even as we speak. And that's the place that we are to go to. That is the place of the gathering of Israel. Psalm 69 verse 35. For the mighty one will save Zion and build the cities of Judah, that they may dwell there and have it in possession. Judah is the chosen tribe. The gathering is to Judah. Psalm 69:35 again. For the mighty one will save Zion and build the cities of Judah, that they may dwell there. The Father will save Zion that they may dwell there. That's telling us that Zion is already a spot on the earth. It's already a nation among the nations of the world today. That nation will be saved. There will we dwell and have it in possession. Though the system may be everywhere, the judgment determined upon Babylon shall fall only on Babylon. Other nations will be judged according to their own works. There will be lands which will be much safer. Once Babylon falls, once her king, the city, is destroyed, she will be beheaded. She will no longer be able to stretch forth her hands to smite and destroy as she had been accustomed to doing. Hence the following passage, Isaiah 14 verses 3 to 8. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Father shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, How hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. The mighty one hath broken the staff of the wicked, and the scepter of rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, Since thou art laid down, no fellow is come up against us. The Father is saying that we shall talk this way. We shall take this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, How hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. The oppressor, the one that is today wreaking and causing all the havoc all over the earth. The oppressor will cease. He who smote the people in wrath, that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted. The Father will cause her destruction. In verse 7, we read, The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. In verse 8, Since thou art laid down, Babylon, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us. Again, Babylon is the head. Once you chop off the head, the arms will no longer work. Her armies will no longer be able to stretch forth and smite you. The nations of the earth will be much safer. And so, when they tell us that you cannot escape Babylon, it is a system that is everywhere. Again, that's not being fully informed. Once Babylon is destroyed, then all those lands will be much safer. Not that you will be totally safe. No, but you will be safer. The oppression that you were getting, the fear and the threat and the hammer that Babylon was dropping on you, all that will stop. Babylon will no longer be able to oppress you. Why go to Zion? 8. Zion has everything that you need to survive. Zion is the best place on the earth to flee to for many reasons. Psalm 50 verse 2, out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, the mighty one hath shined. And that's the biggest reason of them all. The Father himself will meet you there. He will come. There is no safer spot on the earth to be than the spot in which the Most High will dwell. To top it off, Zion is the perfection of beauty. It will be a very beautiful spot. All of the earth belongs to the Most High Mighty One. Of course, he will pick the most beautiful place on earth to build his house in. He's not going to pick a desert. He's not going to pick a place that's very cold. He's going to pick the very best land on earth for him to live in. And because he will be living among men, because he will be living with the children of Israel, then you who are called and chosen, you will be living in the best land on earth yourself with the Most High. Isaiah 51 verse 3. For the Father shall comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places, and he will make her wilderness like Eden, and her desert like the garden of the Most High. Joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving and the voice of melody. Our Father will make Zion like Eden. Though she is desolate today, though she may be compared to a wilderness in a desert today, because of the oppression that she is under at the hands of the nations, she will be like Eden. She will be like the garden of the Most High, like the garden of Eden. There is no better place in the world to be than in Zion on that day. Psalm 122 verse 3. Jerusalem is builded as a city that is compact together. Jerusalem is builded as a city that is compact together. When something is compact, that means that it might be a little small, but it has everything. You're not missing any features. Everything you need is there. That's the way the land of Zion is today. That's the way Jerusalem is today. It may not be the biggest spot, the biggest place on earth, but it has everything. It has all of the necessary raw materials. It has everything that you need to survive without you having to depend on anything from another land or another nation. Jeremiah 31 verse 12. Therefore they shall come and sing in the height of Zion, and shall flow together to the goodness of the Most High, for wheat, and for wine, and for oil, and for the young of the flock and of the herd. And their soul shall be as a watered garden, and they shall not sorrow any more at all. Do you want to be in Zion, or do you want to be in Babylon? And they shall not sorrow any more at all. In Zion, flee Babylon, go find Zion. Zion will be exactly like the land that we're going to read about in Deuteronomy 11, verses 9 through 15. We'll start in the middle of verse 9. A land that floweth with milk and honey. Verse 10, for the land which thou goest in to possess it is not as the land of Egypt, from whence ye came out, where thou sowedst thy seed, and wateredst it with thy foot, as a garden of herbs. But the land whither ye go to possess it is a land of hills and valleys, and drinketh water of the rain of heaven. A land which the Most High, thy mighty one, careth for. The eyes of the Father, thy mighty one, are always upon it, from the beginning of the year, even unto the end of the year. And it shall come to pass, if ye shall hearken diligently unto my commandments, which I command you this day, to love the Most High, your mighty one, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, that I will give you the rain of your land in his due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that thou mayest gather in thy corn and thy wine and thine oil. And I will send grass in thy fields for thy cattle, that thou mayest eat and be full. Zion is a land of milk and honey, not like the land that we are living in now, the land of Egypt. In verse 10, it says, where thou sowest thy seed and waterest with thy foot. We have to work the land that we are living in now very, very hard. We have to till the ground. We have to plant the seed. We have to take great care to make sure that it give us its strength. But in Zion, it is a land of milk and honey, a land of hills and valleys that drinketh the water of the rain of heaven, a land that the Most High cares for himself. His eyes are always upon it. That means that we do not have to work the ground. It is like the Garden of Eden. The land is so rich, the soil is so fertile, that anything you drop will grow. But the Father is telling us that everything we need is already under the ground, under the earth. They grow by themselves. The banana trees, the avocado trees, all the fruit trees are already there. All the grass grows without you having to do anything in order for your animals to be able to eat, so that you may be able to live comfortably on the land. You don't have to do anything. The Father is already taking care of it. That describes Zion. Do you want to stay in Babylon? Do you want to flee Babylon spiritually, mentally, but leave your body there in a land that's being devastated? Or do you want to obey the Father's commandment? Do you want to flee Babylon? Look for the spot where he has placed his name. Go there to wait for him. Why go to Zion 9? The gathering will be in Zion. Jeremiah 3 verse 14. Turn, O backsliding children, saith the Father, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion. The Father has called all of us, and he has chosen many of us, and he will take us and bring us to Zion. But you have to be looking for Zion. You have to be looking to get there by obeying the will of the Father, his laws, his statutes, and his commandments. Only then will he choose you to go to Zion. Isaiah 35 verse 10. And the ransomed of the Most High shall return and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. Psalm 133 verse 1. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head. Verse 3. As the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Father commanded the blessing, even life forevermore. That at the gathering of Israel in Mount Zion is where the Father will command the blessing. What blessing? Life forevermore. That's where the Father will grant us eternal life, in Zion. Why go to Zion? 10. And most importantly, the Father himself will be in Zion. The Father himself will be in Zion. Zechariah 2 verse 10. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Most High. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Most High. Revelation 21 verse 3. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of the Mighty One is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and the Mighty One himself shall be with them, and be their Mighty One. The Father is coming to Zion. He will establish his house in Zion, and he will dwell with men in Zion. Why would you want to stay in Babylon? Me, my goal is to get to Zion. To recap, we can look at two maps that helps to illustrate some of the points that we covered. The first one is the fall of the Babylonian, the Anglo-American Empire. What will happen is that Europe, which you can compare to the Assyrian part of the Babylonian Empire, Europe shall betray the Anglo-American Empire. Europe shall betray the United States and England. Europe will allow her to fall. That's why on the news you see Brexit, you see a separation of Great Britain and Europe, and you see the United States through her policies are pulling away from Europe too. All that is part of the Father's plan. All that is part of the fall of the Babylonian Empire. And when you look at the map, you see which country from the north that shall rise up against her. And you already see that the United States is doing everything in its power to make sure that Russia rise up against her, to make sure that China rise up against her. This is no coincidence. This is Bible prophecy being fulfilled. In our next map, we see the invasion from the countries of the north, but the blue arrows represent all of the people who will be leaving the Babylonian Empire, who will be leaving the US, England, and also the Assyrian Empire, which is Europe. They will be leaving primarily most of the countries of the northern hemisphere, including the Middle East, including India and China. Why? Because there will be much destruction in all of those places. Plagues, death, famine, fire, nuclear bombs will be falling. There will be deadly viruses. The world will be in utter chaos. And from the blue arrows, we see that most people who will be looking to flee will be fleeing into the southern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere is less populated. 85% of the world's population is in the northern hemisphere. And the southern hemisphere, those lands are also more fertile. Not that you will be completely safe, but you will be relatively safer in the southern hemisphere. But for us who are the children of Jacob, our goal is to find the daughter of Jerusalem, find on the map the spot, the nation, the people that is today known in the Bible as the daughter of Jerusalem. That's where the gathering will be. That's where the Father will come. That's where we need to come also. Let's recap by reading one or two passages that sums up everything that we covered in this video today. Jeremiah 50, verse 8. Remove out of the midst of Babylon, and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans, and be as the he-goats before the flocks. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Babylon is fallen, and we are told to leave. Verse 20. In those days and in that time, saith the Father, the iniquity of Israel shall be sought for, and there shall be none. And the sins of Judah, and they shall not be found. For I will pardon them whom I reserve. The Father will pardon a remnant of Israel. Joel 2, verse 32. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Most High shall be delivered. For in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, as the Most High hath said, and in the remnant whom the Father shall call. The Father will call a remnant. The Father will pardon the sins of a remnant, and we ought to go to Zion. Isaiah 14, verses 1 through 4. For the Most High will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. A lot of these strangers are the ones who will be fleeing Babylon for fear of the oppressing sword. There will be those people who will grab the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, we shall go with you because the mighty one is with you. Verse 2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Most High for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. We learn in the Bible that many nations are guilty in enslaving the children of Israel. So the Father is letting us know that the strangers who will be joined to the children of Israel, the house of Israel shall possess them for servants and handmaids. They shall take them captives whose captives they were. That's what the Messiah told us. He that leadeth into captivity must go into captivity. That's the judgment of the Most High Mighty One. Verse 3, and it shall come to pass in the day that the Most High shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. Notice that this proverb will be taken up after the children of Israel, is in their own land, is in Zion. Those are the children of Israel who fled Babylon. Those are the children of Israel who understood, who were able to see that they are not to leave Babylon mentally or spiritually. They have to leave physically. Those who are physically in Zion will take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. Those who flee, those who left Babylon, and those who went into Zion. Well, you have heard the testimony of the witnesses, the prophets Jeremiah, Isaiah, John, Zechariah, Joel, and King David. You have heard the word of the Most High, the King of heaven and earth. Your leaders tells you that Babylon is spiritual, a system. It's everywhere. You don't have to go. Physically, it's mental, it's spiritual. But the Mighty One told you to flee. Do not stand still. Deliver your soul to Zion. Now the day is coming and has arrived. Who will you listen to? Your leader or the Most High Mighty One?